The Palmetto State Armory AKV, let's check it out. Now, pistol caliber carbines have become extremely popular, especially in the pistol form. They're so compact, usually in 9mm, but also 40, 45, 10mm. I mean, there's a lot of different choices. One thing that I've really enjoyed is how compact these are, and yet it has a lot of capability over a standard handgun. And so with the brace, it just makes a huge difference. When we went down to Palmetto State Armory and checked out their new AKV, we went to a media event. There was a lot of different guns there. We were shooting quite a bit. Both Sarah Mac and I agreed that the highlight of the entire trip was the Palmetto State Armory AKV. This is a AK that's designed for 9mm, and what's really cool is it uses your standard EVO 3 mags, your CZ Scorpion mags. And so you have a very inexpensive option for magazines, and yet you have a really cool design proven with the AK. And yet there are some upgrades to this over a standard AK-47. Now, ever since that range day, I've been trying to get an AKV, and because these take a little more time to produce, especially over your AR-15s, there's only so many of these that are being made as production just happens to come. And so I got in touch with Josiah down at Palmetto State Armory, and I said, man, I'm really wanting one of the AKVs. And so I bought one through Palmetto State. They did give me a slight discount, but honestly, if I'd found one in the Palmetto State store, which is right here in our area, I would have bought it in a heartbeat. Now, Palmetto State offers different models. This was my choice with the red furniture. I love it, but it comes with black synthetic stocks. It comes with a lot of other options. One of the big upgrades, though, that I chose was getting the ALG trigger. This is one of the smoothest triggers that you're going to find for an AK-47. And taking this out to the range was a blast. To be honest with you guys, I am so excited about the AKV that I don't really even know where to start. This is the most anticipated review or firearm that I have in 2020 and before. Again, we went down to Palmetto State Armory to a media event, and we got to shoot this, and it was the highlight of the whole trip. Except we did get to shoot 1 mile, and that was an accomplishment that was just, incredible. But as far as the firearms go, the AKV was huge. Honestly, it surprised me how much I would like it. And so ever since that time, I've been wanting one. The AK Kalashnikov family is one of those kind of rogue weapons. It's just what the communists used. It's one of those kind of desperado firearms. And because of that, it has a lot of appeal to it. I am an AR fan. I mean, I love AR-15s. That's my go-to. But AK-47s are right there with it. I mean, they're just great, solid firearms. They have a great reputation. Now, one thing about Palmetto State Armory is, they have a reputation because of their price being low that some people feel like that reflects on their quality, but it does not. Palmetto State Armory sells direct, and that's one of the reasons why their prices are low. They have good quality stuff. I've been shooting them for years, different type Palmetto State products. Now, but this one is something that to me stands above and beyond. So let's make sure the gun's unloaded. We're going to drop the magazine, check the chamber, and it's empty. One of the big advantages of the AKV is it uses the CZ Scorpion EVO 3 pattern magazines. That is great that it uses really popular magazines you can find that are very reasonable in price. But these are actually Palmetto State Armory made pattern magazines. These are actually better to me than the standard CZ because they do have the steel feed lips. We're going to look at that in a minute because there's a lot of magazine options. But it does have a beveled magazine well, or flared. So when I put my magazine in, it just goes straight in. A lot different than your standard AK that needs to lock and rock. And so this to me is a big advantage, especially with 9mm. You have your standard safety right here, which is AK, but it does have the shelf, which makes it really nice. Now this one was my pick. It was in the red furniture. I love this color. It makes it look very traditional. But they do offer a number of different models. In fact, they have the M-LOK rails with all the Picatinny if you want that, Mo pistol grip. And so it gives it that more modern look, and that's great. And it will give you some advantages with lights, lasers. But one thing about this, to me, the AK just looks good as it is traditional. Also, you can get one of the SB Tactical braces with the buffer tube, or you can get the Palmetto State Armory side folder. And this to me is just an excellent piece. It does have a rubberized coating on it, which makes it really nice on your cheek. And then this bottom part is a little bit more rubbery, but this is a brace, guys. This is a pistol. And that's one of the things that really allows us to have these shorter barrels on these firearms, is because of these braces. Now this folding stock is considered a brace. This is a pistol, and there's a number of ways that we can use this. First off, you can put it on your cheek. Then we can take it, undo the strap. And this is really how it was designed. It was actually designed for disabled guys to be able to shoot. Also, you could just shoot it, just like this. Just point it out. And then, occasionally, according to the ATF, we can put it on our shoulder. So it's a very versatile system. But the adapter on this brace is a Picatinny rail, so I can change this from different positions if I want to, or I can add different pieces on this, which I think that's a big advantage. One of the things about deploying the brace is you have to push down on this little lever and bring the bottom up. So it just comes up like that, but it's a really secure fit, and then it just closes over to the left side, which is traditional for AK because you have your bolt right here, which is reciprocating. Now you'll notice there's no bolt hold open notch on the safety, which a lot of AKs now have, because typically the AK doesn't hold on the last round. But with the AKV, it does, and that's because of the CZ mag. It has your bolt stop in the mag, and because of that, PSA has included a bolt release right here. This is a little bit different. It's a departure from your standard AK, but that's one of the things that I'd have never really liked about the AK is it doesn't hold open on that last round, and this it does. The rivets on the receiver are excellent. I mean, they're just very well done. It's going to give you a really strong receiver. And so that is one thing big that Palmetto State has done. Now it has a forged trunnion and bolt carrier, which the bolt carrier is kind of short throw. It only goes back. Of course, we are shooting 9mm. But that is going to give you a lot of strength with this firearm. Then if we hit the bolt release, pops it right down. Now one of the big things about the AK is that sometimes it's difficult to mount optics. This has a Picatinny rail on the dust cover. It is hinged. And guys, it is solid. I mean, it does not, there is no movement whatsoever with this dust cover. We'll take a look at that a little bit more when we break the firearm down. But you have your standard way that you push through to pop up your dust cover. We have our front sight right here, and it's just a notch. And then we have the AK style regular sight, and we have ears protecting it. Now this is a very short sight radius. And that's probably one of the only things that I would say that would be nice to have a longer sight radius, maybe to bring the sight all the way back on the end of the Picatinny rail. But really for what this is, a 9mm pistol, this really works. And of course your dust cover you can take off just by pulling this up and popping it off like your standard AK. The barrel is a 4150 black nitrided bolt, which I love black nitrided. It's all throughout this firearm. It's really easy to clean. It holds up really well. Here we have the PSA muzzle brake. It does have the detent to where you can actually just push this down and you can take it off. And it is right hand threads. What's also cool about this is that it's half by 28 threads. So you can put a muzzle brake, or you can put a lot of other devices. Typically with your Russian AKs or Soviet or Eastern Bloc countries, they have the left-handed threads. And so this is half by 28. But to be honest, I really like this muzzle brake. It helps with the little bit of felt recoil that you're going to receive. It has 2 ports on the top, and then it has side ports. And then the bottom is flat. Now all the furniture is your standard AK furniture, so you don't have to look for any kind of unusual type furniture. Most of your Magpul stuff will fit directly on here, which makes that very nice. If you have one of the different type variants from other countries, sometimes they're more proprietary. This is going to be more uniform. The action on the AKV is more like the new Russian 9mm Vitas. And that is used by Russian Special Forces and Spetsnaz. So this is definitely a proven design. There are, again, a few differences to it, but to me, they're upgrades. And one of the big ones is this magazine. That's one of the huge things that separates this. A lot of times when you buy Eastern type firearms, you know, they have proprietary magazines, and sometimes they can be difficult to get, and if you find them, they're fairly expensive. It's the big thing about these CZ EVO 3 mags. And guys, they just pop right out. That's a nice paddle right there to be able to get a hold of. Now, speaking of mag choices, you have a lot, and these are all very reasonable. This is a 35 round magazine, which makes it really nice. It does have steel reinforced feed lips, and you have your orange follower here, and these just work. We have used these extensively in the CZ EVO 3s, and they're just great mags. Then we have the Prepper gunshot mags, and these are made by Manticore Arms. These have just a reinforced steel here at the top, and so these are really excellent. These are 32 round magazines. It comes in the smoke and it comes in the translucent. And then we have the regular CZ EVO 3 mags, direct factory mags, 30 rounders, and then we have the 20 rounders. And then we have the F5 manufacturing drum. Now, I'm going to tell you a couple of things about this drum. It's a 50 round drum, and if you don't load it right, you're going to have problems. And the big thing is that you load it slowly. As the rounds go in, you just load it. One thing that we found out at first was we were bringing it way down and just dropping a bunch of rounds in, and they were getting kind of mixed up and they weren't aligning right. Once we figured this out, that all you need to do is just load those in slowly, one at a time, making sure they're in line. This thing works great. It's all aluminum, it's solid, it's got a very sturdy system to it, but again, just take care when loading. Guys, there's a basic trigger version for the AKV, but then there's an upgrade of the ALG trigger. This is the ALG trigger, and I'm going to tell you, this thing is so smooth. So let's look at the trigger action. One thing you'll notice is there is no wall. It just pulls back and releases. Right there. I mean, it is just super smooth all the way through. And if you're trying to really get accuracy on this at a bench, that's going to surprise you. I'm going to show you that trigger again. Boom, right there. Man, it's smooth. And then reset. Right there. Back on it. We're going to check the trigger pull weight with our Lyman trigger gauge from Brownells. 2 pounds, 13.8 ounces. 2 pounds, 11.4 ounces. It's about 2.5 pounds. I'm telling you guys, when you put your finger on there, it is just so easy to pull that trigger. And guys, if that's too light, then go with the standard trigger. But I really like how smooth this thing shoots. I want to thank Fiocchi for sponsoring the ammo, all made right here in the USA. And good clean burning. It's 115 grain, and we're using PSA mags. And these mags are the EVO 3 mags. Now, if you love AKs, you're going to love the AKV. It is just so smooth. It's so soft shooting. The 9mm is very easy. This port really makes a big difference with the compensator. And of course, using those standard Scorpion mags, I mean, they're so easy to get. They're plentiful. And when you get some of the upgraded versions, especially with the Palmetto State, you have the steel feed lips. And so it gives you a little more strength. With 35 rounds, that even makes it better. Now, I like the brace on the back for 2 separate reasons. It is a Picatinny rail at the back, so I can actually adjust this to align my sights. One thing about this stock though is once you have to get used to it. You just push down and up and it comes right out. And really I just push on the back of this. It makes it really simple. But of course you can just bring it straight out. It folds to the left and it just gets it out of your way. Now one thing I really like about this is it has the last round bolt hold open, which makes it big, but then you have your bolt release here, which is a departure from your standard AK. And so this at the range gives you a lot of features with your AK and then some upgrades. But the big thing is it's so fast to shoot, it's so soft, and it's so compact, and it just looks great. Now as far as malfunctions, we had zero. It just shot. And the CZ EVO 3 style mags are very reliable already. Again, with the Palmetto States and with the Prepper gun shop mags. They just have an upgrade to them. So this makes it a lot of fun and very reliable and actually fairly accurate. Now Sarah Mac is particularly fond of the AKV. She loves the lack of recoil. It's so compact and easy. It's not super heavy. It allows her to really be able to handle this firearm with ease. And then we had Grant, who really loved the AKV as well. I mean, it's just so soft shooting and so easy to get on target. And then with the ALG trigger, I mean, you know, it just is so smooth to shoot. Now we're going to compare the AKV to three similar blowback 9mm pistols. Now we're going to shoot the Grand Power Stribog SP9A1. The A3 has the roller lock action, so that's not really a fair comparison. Next, the CZ EVO 3 Micro. And last, the Brigade Manufacturing BM9. I will tell you, overall, the BM9 is the easiest. There is some delayed blowback going on, which really makes this a very easy gun to shoot. But the AKV is definitely easier shooting than the original Stribog or the CZ EVO 3 Micro. There's just less coming back. Now if we compare this to the HK MP5 variants or even the Stribog that is the SP9A3 or the SIG MPX, they're definitely softer shooting. A lot of that has to do with the way they were designed. The roller lock action on the first two are definitely a big plus. But for a straight blowback, this is a really soft shooting firearm. Now to disassemble the AKV, we see the action's open, so the gun is unloaded. We're going to go ahead and bring it forward. Right here is your dust cover. Just like your regular AK, you just push in and then we pull up the dust cover. And it is hinged, so it's not going to go anywhere, but that adds to the stability of the dust cover to give you better accuracy on your optics. Then we're going to take our recoil spring. Now you'll notice these buffers. This is going to really help with your blowback action. And on a standard AK, you don't really want buffers, but on this, it works really well. So take your guide rod, push it forward to release it from this little ledge that's holding it in place, and then just pull it straight out. Then we're going to take our bolt carrier, bring it all the way back, lift up, and it comes out. Now here we have the trigger, and again guys, it is super smooth. We have your standard trigger springs that work through here, which is typical for your AK. Again, your trunnion is forged, and also your bolt carrier. This would be your typical piston, but because this is a blowback action, and this is just chrome plated. Now to remove your handguard, there's a small lever here, and you can take your bolt and use it as a tool, and then we just lift it up, and then we can pull off our handguard. You got to make sure you get it off the front, obviously, but there it goes. And so you can change this out if you want, but really easy to keep it clean. And then just put it at the front first. Make sure that your lever here is in place, and then just bring that back down. You guys, that's all you need to really do to field strip. Let's put back in our bolt and carrier. In the receiver, there's a little notch. You just push it in there. Now you've got to push your hammer down to get that bolt carrier forward. And then we take in our recoil spring and our guide rod, slip it in. Again, you want to get this forward. There's a little guide down in here. Just gonna lock it in. You wanna probably line up your buffers, then bring this down, and then hit it. Let's go ahead and test function. We're good to go. Now guys, when it comes to a pistol caliber carbine in pistol form, with 9mm, you know, you are losing a lot of velocity that you're getting out of a 223 or 7.62 by 3.9. But one of the things about that shorter barrel is that you're losing a lot of velocity as well. And so really the ballistics are not as great as you'd think. Secondly, it's just much cheaper to shoot 9mm than it is 5.56. Of course, if you get the steel case 7.62, it's pretty reasonable to shoot. One of the things about this though is that for a home defense situation, you're not getting the over penetration that you're going to get with a 7.62 or with the 5.56. So it gives you a little less to worry about for that bullet to travel so far. You know, just like you would your standard handgun. You need to know your backstops. You need to think about these things beforehand. But it definitely gives you a little less coming out, and yet very effective at close range. I mean, we're talking about 100 yards. It'll go 200, but it starts to really lose its ballistic capability as a self-defense round. One thing about this though is it's so compact and it's so reliable. And so this really has a lot of advantages over a standard handgun as far as in a truck gun. You're able to have more points of contact, you can control it a little bit better, and you can get really fast shots. And you've got your extended magazines, which makes it really nice. This to me makes an excellent self-defense, personal defense weapon, and that's why I like to call it the PDW. In a vehicle, I mean, it's small, it's compact, and yet you can pop it out and it can be very effective. Again, I mean guys, that is tiny, and you can carry your 9mm easily. But if you want to get those extended ranges, then buy a carbine. You know, but if you really want something that's small and compact and yet very effective, I think these type firearms are excellent, and the AKV is definitely one of them. Guys, there's a lot of choices. This is the Zenith, and this is the Z5P, and it's of course based on the HK MP5, and it's licensed by HK. Then we have the Palmetto State Armory AKV. Then we have the Scorpion. This is the Micro EVO 3. Then we have the Strebog, and this is the SP9A3. Then we have the Brigade BM9, and then we have the CMG Banshee, which has a radial delay blowback. Now we had the Ruger PC9 carbine, but this now comes in the Charger form. Then we have the JR carbine, which we have a brace coming for it. These have been around for a long time. They're just great little firearms. And then we have the TNW survival rifle. This actually breaks down into a very small package. So guys, there are so many options out there, as you can see. Now as far as price goes, it depends on what model you get. They're running around the $1,000 give or take. You just go to the Palmetto State Armory website, but you've got to catch them when they're in stock, because they're producing them like crazy, but they're being bought so quickly. And so it's one of those things where if you find it, you want to go ahead and you want to pull the trigger on that purchase. One of the things for me, again, is I was looking for this for a while, and it took me a while to be able to find one, and I was really glad I did. This is one of those kind of firearms that I just love. Love taking it out to the range, has a lot of great features to it. Guys, if you want something in a pistol caliber carbine and you're a big AK fan, this to me is the ultimate, mainly because of the CZ EVO 3 mags, but also because it has a lifetime warranty from Palmetto State Armory. So I want to thank Palmetto State for hooking me up with this. I did purchase it, and they did give me a discount, but I was again willing to pay full price because I am really loving the AKV, and you definitely need to get out and try one out. Rubber Dummies is one of the best training tools on the market, and you get a 10% discount using Suit00 when you click the link down in the description. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America, long live the Republic. Bring back the freaking bolt, which is heavy. Okay. So it's a very versatile system.
A very versatile system.
And then we have now here we have the standard. Again, we have the standard. It has one of the AGS. It has one thing I like in particular about this model is it has one of the, this one is with the AGL. It is huge, and I'm not really sure that's the name of it.